Welcome back, everyone, to another episode of the Health Made Simple Show. I am your host, Dr. Bart, and I've got a great conversation, a great topic for us tonight. This is the truth about flu season. And what are we going to expect? What are we going to do? So inevitably, when I do a conversation like this, we have a podcast like this, I know that it's going to ruffle some feathers because some people are going to say, oh, doc, are you trying to tell me you don't believe in the flu? That's really not what I'm saying. This is a great conversation for us to have to maybe give us a different perspective of how to move into what they call the flu season. I'll clarify that in just a moment. So in these different perspectives, folks, just remember a reminder, we need them. We need to have different conversations in different perspectives, especially when it comes to our health and the things that we've maybe just accepted over all the years that, oh, flu season comes and when you get sick, it has nothing to do with you. It had everything to do with just the new strand of influenza and whatnot. So I'm going to dive deeply, but just for a quick second about that so we can just have, again, a different perspective. I'm going to keep this podcast really short with the intention that you do your thing. You keep sharing it out, keep spreading the love, because everyone is a little bit vulnerable this time of year, but not because of the different strands of influenza, but rather because the state of being that we are in during this season. All right, so keep doing your thing, keep sharing it out. Let's dive in here a little bit. As we dive into here, a couple of things about flu season. One, it is not because there's a new strand or a more potent strand or it's more contagious, anything like that, of the actual influenza or the flu. Most of it's going to be a combination of three very simple things. And I'm going to give you some strategies here as well. It's going to come down to how we're sleeping, the amount of stress that we're under, and also, so it's a stress, the sleep, and the sugar content. Those three things. That's really simple. And it really begins between October 31st, which is really Halloween, and January 1st. And that is the crux of the flu season. And so when we just step back and we look at this, I will tell you that this really comes down to our mindset. And I say it that way because we're going to have things take place, holidays specifically, that are so traditional and so deep-seated in behaviors that if we don't step back and don't look at them, we're just going to repeat the same behaviors that we've done year after year after year. We have more stress, we have more sugar, and we're sleeping less. So if we have those things, then we can expect more people, more than likely, to end up with a cold, a flu, something that when your body gets weak, they become more vulnerable to it. And that, in a nutshell, that little statement right there, that it is not flu season. It is really vulnerability season. We have more stress, more sugar, and less sleep. Those, if you want to get someone sick, if you want to become sick, eat more sugar, have more stress, and sleep less. You're going to be vulnerable for everything. And this is the perspective that I'm talking about. So let's dive into this a little bit. Again, we're going to keep this short and sweet, but we're going to get right to the point here and do your thing. Keep sharing out, keep spreading love here. So let's first just kind of have the other part of the mindset. Stay on the gas pedal, folks. In the event that you are on a health journey, it doesn't have to break down at this time of the year. In fact, I'm recording this right now a little bit after Thanksgiving, and I'm super excited to hear so many people come into my office and say, hey, Dr. Bart, man, I did good during Thanksgiving. I didn't overeat. I ate really clean. We had a couple different dishes this year at Thanksgiving, and I feel really good the day afterwards. I love hearing that because it reminds me that we can do this. I was able to do the same thing this year, and Thanksgiving is always a big one for me, especially because I love to eat. Traditionally, I've always completely overconsumed on Thanksgiving, watch football all day. I know that I have a tendency to be a stress eater, so my football team always plays on that day, so I overeat, etc. So this year I was really able to dial it in, and I know that I can do that, and I know that you can do it as well. So we're not done, though. So we got through the first holiday. Now we have a couple more to go. So start thinking about who you are, the journey that you're on, and know this, that in order for things to change, you have to change, not your friends, not your family, not the dishes they make, but you're going to have to show up in these events, in these office parties, and at the Christmas parties, and at Christmas and New Year's. You're going to have to be the one that shows up and says, man, I'm good. I feel good. And know that you're not going to miss out on anything. You're not going to have less fun because you're not drinking. You're not going to have less fun because you're less full. I promise you that. In fact, you're probably going to enjoy the people that you're with, and you're probably going to enjoy the environment and the holidays and all that they really mean by being more present and feeling better through those times. All right, so let's dive in a little bit. Let's talk about Let's talk about sleep first. This is huge. So inevitably, we change the clocks. And one of the things that happens immediately is that everyone becomes a little bit out of rhythm, a circadian rhythm. And if you've listened to our podcast, over the years, you hear me talk about this all the time. We don't want to defy nature's laws. It means fundamentally a couple things. We want to get up with the light. We want to go to bed with the dark. And we want to always eat in the light. And that's not Dr. Bart's rules. Those are nature's rules. And the reason so fundamentally saying eat in the light, hopefully I said that right. We always want to eat in the light. The reason we want to eat in the light because we want to see our food. And there's a certain level of chemistry that is created when the sun goes down. So for example, your body starts to release, your pineal gland releases a little bit of melatonin. The melatonin then tells the body relax, which shuts down some of the other systems, like your digestive system. It's going to slow some of those processes down. So we want to make sure that we have done the basics. We're eating in the light and we're going to bed shortly after it gets dark, which means we have to make some shifts in our schedule. So right away, when the clocks change, inevitably, a lot of people, their rhythm of sleep becomes a little bit off. Myself, I personally love it because I love to go to bed early and get up early. So this works really good. I actually get a little bit more sleep at this time of the year, but I find a lot of people, there becomes an adjustment phase. So number one is this. And if all you took away from this, if everyone only focused on getting plenty of sleep through the holidays, most people are going to be just fine. So we heal when we sleep, and we can never lose track of that. There's such a power in sleeping. That is when our body recovers, and also when it responds to things like, your viruses and all your hormone imbalance. It is that moment when we sleep that our body rebuilds, recovers, repairs. So protect that with everything that you have, and most likely you're going to be perfectly fine. Now let's talk about stress. I don't know that anyone is going to be able to decrease the amount of stress that they have, but handling your stress is something we definitely have the tools for and we have the knowledge for. And some of the ways that we're going to do that is, one, don't get off track with the good habits that you have. Inevitably, I'll hear people get off track with their workouts and their exercise. And folks, there's probably nothing better that you're going to do relative to, decreasing or the impact and the negative effect of stress. Getting exercise. Remember, that's one of the best things about exercise is that it balances our hormones, makes us feel good, or relieves that extra stress. So make sure you stay on your game. And that's why I said this is a mindset thing. If you make sure that you are committed to your exercise, if you stay committed to it, inevitably it's going to lean into eating and drinking better, or eating better and possibly drinking less. But in the event you're not committed to those workouts and to that exercise and see the value that it has on you as a human and as for your overall health, then sometimes we let those slide. So again, mindset, make sure you stick the way that we're going to handle stress. In a moment, I'll give you some the vitamins and herbs that I recommend during this time as well. But do your absolute best, stick to your commitments, and to manage your stress. One of the best ways is make sure you keep your exercise routine. And the other part of that is this. Inevitably through the holidays, I think a lot of us make commitments that we're not really excited about. Yeah, it is not our truth that we're using. And this is hard, I understand, because often the decisions require us to make decisions about our family and things that maybe are almost traditional, but they're not exactly what you want to do. And I would add to that conversation this, that as you continue to find your own truth and your true purpose, you will find that truth. And the better you speak it, and the better you utilize those decisions and letting yourself be true to yourself, what you want to do and how you go about living your life, the easier it's going to be on your overall vitality and especially your health. I think a lot of people, I don't even think, I have a front row to see to this as being a healthcare provider, that over the years, I see many, many people worry themselves and stress themselves out, and that's how they get themselves sick. All right, so moving on here. So that's sleep, that's stress, now sugar. Listen, man, stick to your guns here. Sugar's the beast. Sugar shuts down your immune system immediately. So in the event we want to call it flu season and you're shutting your immune system off over and over, we know the Halloween candy came, we know the pies came, at Thanksgiving, we know there's more bread and there's more pasta, more comfort food through the holidays. Those all convert to sugar. So keep that in mind. When we consume sugar, you're shutting your immune system off. In many circumstances, you're shutting it off for at least a couple hours, if not several hours through the course of the day. And every one of us is paying attention to the impact of sugar and carbs. Once you start eating them, boy, boy, it becomes a roller coaster of just keep your body then all of a sudden is calling for more and more. So you have to have the wherewithal to go ahead and, draw that line in the sand and say, no, I'm going to stop this. If you avoid the sugar through the holidays, that means all those simple, the simple and processed carbohydrates as well. And as we go here, so we got the sleep, we got the sugar, we have the stress, developing strategy. So in the event you get a little off track, know that this is a window, but having a strategy in the back of your mind, I think, is also a good opportunity for you to go, okay, I'm going to slip a little bit here today. I'm going to have grandma's pie a little bit here. I'm not saying you can't do these things. You can, but know that you have to have some point where you draw the hard line, not just I'm going to get a little bit better. So for those of you familiar, every year we run our cleanse in January. This year, I believe it's January 2nd. You can either do a 10 or 21-day cleanse. That's a good example of having a hard line where you reset the system. I love the New Year's. I love the opportunity that we have to plan and strategize for who we're going to become and the things we want to achieve in the upcoming year. And I love starting it every year. We do the same thing. We start with a 10 or 21-day cleanse where we reset the body. And that, for those of you who aren't familiar with the cleanse, is absolutely fantastic. And beauty is it's a rehabilitation for your digestive system. So if you guys aren't interested in that, you certainly, we'll put some show notes here, or you can just go to our website, balance30a.com, and just look for the cleanse page there. All right, so moving on here. So we got to have strategy. We got to make sure we get a little better sleep. We got to make sure we watch our sugar intake. And of course, we're going to do our best with stress and use all the things, the yoga, the meditation, the breathing. Now let's talk about my couple favorite supplements, and then we'll wrap this up. So in the event, there's some repeat here too. So for your immune system and for your stress, my favorite was something we call an adrenal tonic. Adrenal tonic is probably just a little bit of magic. It's a liquid tonic. I don't know that it tastes awesome, yet it is awesome in its ability to help you manage stress and keep your immune system highly functional. So it's got echinacea in it, Romania, ashwagandha, which we know is good for not only thyroid function, testosterone, but lowering cortisol in the morning. It has a little bit of, what else is in there? Licorice root, has a little bit of ashwagandha. I mentioned that, Romania, and echinacea. So one of the most phenomenal tonics, meaning that it's good for the overall body, that just help you manage better times. Again, this is something I've mentioned several times on a podcast here. It's something I use every day, especially when I travel and especially through holidays when I know I'm going to be pushing my body a little bit more. It's called an adrenal tonic. We should be able to put that in the show notes as well. If your challenge is sugar, I'm going to give you a little secret here. One of the weapons, the secret weapons that we use in our cleanse is an herb called Genema. That herb right there will downregulate your body's desire for sugar. It's absolutely fantastic. And if you are one of the people that knows that you're borderline addicted to sugar, that once you start having a little sugar or carbohydrates, folks, it's really the same thing. If you are the bread person, you like the muffins and the crackers and all those simple carbohydrates, even if it's chips for you, and say, well, I don't like sugar, I really just like salt. They're still delivered usually on something like a carbohydrate, like a potato chip. If you use that herb, it's absolutely phenomenal its effects. Quite frankly, it's one of the reasons we have so much success in our January cleanse. People feel so comfortable cutting all the other bad things out. And one of the reasons is because we use this herb. So it's part of your protocol here. All right. So just quick review here for you. I don't think this is flu season, folks. I think it's lots of stress. There's too much stress. There's too much sugar and not enough sleep. And if we flip that over and you stick to your mindset, you stick to being the best version of who you want to be. And again, I truly believe this is mostly mindset. Stick to your guns, recognize there's some time changes taking place, recognize who you want to be tomorrow, the following day, next week, and into the new year. I think that you'll handle this just fine, like most people do. And occasionally we see people get the flu, but most likely when we reverse it and look at the root cause, there's usually a time of too much stress or not enough sleep or too much sugar. So right after Thanksgiving, inevitably, I saw a lot of people already start to get sick. So allow yourself permission to go through these holidays better than you ever have before. All right, folks, hopefully you enjoyed this podcast. Keep doing your thing. Keep sharing out. Keep spreading the love. Have yourself an awesome holiday, and we'll see you again next week.